Ready to streamline approvals in minutes? Learn to build a powerful automated workflow with RunMyProcess. From submission to approval and instant notifications, this guide has it all. Watch now and transform your processes effortlessly. To start, navigate to the Processes tab in RunMyProcess. Once there, click on the Add button to create a new process. Give the process a clear name, such as Main Process, to reflect its purpose. Next, search for your organization in the drop-down menu and select it. After that, assign the employee role as the initiator, which ensures that employees will be responsible for starting this workflow. Confirm your choices to complete this initial setup. Next, add a new role line by clicking Add Role and selecting Manager from the drop-down. Confirm to save the role. Then, deploy a new activity under the Manager role line to represent the task assigned to them. With this done, we'll move on to creating the web interface for this process. Click on the Add button and select your project from the available list. Give the new interface a clear and descriptive name, such as Main Web Interface, and confirm to move forward. To begin the design process, we'll start by creating a new section. Open the Widgets menu, select Section, and drag it onto the canvas. Name this section Request Information to structure the details of the request clearly and effectively. Next, add an input text widget to allow users to enter their name. After that, include an email input widget for users to provide their email address. Then, add a text area widget where users can input the details of their request. Finally, drag and drop a Submit button onto the form. Configure the button to connect with the process we created earlier so that submitting the form will initialize the workflow. Go to the screen settings and rename the current screen to Submission Form to clearly reflect its purpose in the workflow. Next, create a new screen for the manager and name it Approval Screen. In the configuration settings, ensure that the fields from the submission form are set to Read Only. This step prevents the manager from modifying any of the data entered by the employee. Next, create a new section within the approval screen and name it Validate Request. This section will be used to organize the manager's decision-making tools. Inside this section, add two buttons to represent the possible decisions. For the first button, set its label to Accept to indicate approval and carefully configure its properties. Assign value as the variable name, set the ID to Accept, and define its value as 1. This configuration ensures that the button reliably records and communicates the manager's approval decision, integrating it seamlessly into the workflow. Now, add a second button to the Validate Request section and label it Reject to represent the disapproval option. Configure this button's properties as follows. Set the variable to Value, assign its value as 0, and name its ID Reject. Once both buttons are in place, click Save to finalize the configuration. And just like that, we've successfully completed the web interface for our application. Let's return to our process to configure the activity. Rename the activity created earlier to Validate Request to align with its purpose. Set the activity type to Manual, as this step requires user interaction. Link it to the main web interface and select Approval Screen under the Screen dropdown to ensure the manager uses the correct interface. Next, check the Notify via Email option to enable notifications for this step, ensuring the manager is informed when action is needed. Choose Default Email Server, the email provider offered by RunMyProcess, to handle notifications. Finally, confirm your settings. This configuration ensures the process automatically sends an email to the manager each time an employee submits the form. Now, let's add a new decision gateway to the process. Select an exclusive or gateway to manage the workflow based on different conditions. Configure the approval path by naming it Approved. Next, set the condition for this path to trigger when the value variable equals 1. Once the condition is defined, confirm your settings to finalize the approval path configuration. Next, we'll configure the rejection path within the process. Create a new path at the employee role level and name it Rejected to clearly identify its purpose. Set the condition for this path to trigger when the value variable equals 0. Once the condition is properly configured, confirm your settings to finalize the rejection path. Go back to the approval path to add a notification activity. Name the activity Notify Approval to reflect its purpose. Set the activity type to email notification. Then go to the provider field and select Default Email Server, the option provided by RunMyProcess. In the To field, enter email so the notification is sent directly to the employee who submitted the request. Finally, compose the message. Start with a greeting, such as hello, followed by the name, variable to personalize the message. Then, include the acceptance notification to inform the employee that their request has been approved. Now, let's configure the rejection path by adding a notification activity. Name this activity Notify Rejection to clearly indicate its purpose. Set the activity type to email notification, just like in the approval path. Navigate to the provider field and select Default Email Server, the default option provided by RunMyProcess. In the To field, enter email to ensure the notification is sent directly to the employee who submitted the request. For the message, start with a greeting such as hello, followed by the name variable to personalize it. Then, include a clear rejection message to inform the employee that their request has not been approved. Finally, let's bring the paths together by adding an OR join to merge the approval and rejection flows. After connecting the paths, add an end event to signify the conclusion of the process. Save all the changes, and with that, our application setup is complete. Now let's test our application. Open the main web interface to begin testing the application and ensure that it is functioning correctly. Start by filling out the form fields with test data. Enter information into the name, email, and request details fields as required. Make sure all the fields are filled appropriately to simulate a real user submission. After verifying that all the necessary data has been entered, click the Submit button to send the form. Once the form is submitted, observe the process flow. You'll see that the workflow transitions to the next step, with the system now waiting for the manager to take action on the approval screen. Click on the link in the email notification to open the approval screen for the manager. Review the employee's submitted information, including their name, email, and request details. After reviewing, approve the request by clicking the Accept button. Once submitted, the workflow progresses, completing the process. The employee then receives an email confirming their request has been approved, ensuring a smooth workflow from submission to notification. And just like that, we've created a business approval application in just minutes, thanks to RunMyProcess. Thank you for watching.